Hey everybody, so in the bookish world, August is Women in Translation Month. I know you probably know that, but I am here to make some recommendations because this is a fantastic month and there are so many amazing books by women in translation that you need to read. So I'm here to make your WIT TBR explode. Let's get started. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course, I hope you're reading an amazing book or two or three or four. It is another warm day here in Northern California. Work was crazy. I cannot complain really though, because I started a new book today and it is fantastic, and I can't wait to tell you all about it later. But it's also an amazing time to celebrate books by women in translation. This is such a fun month where we get to read books. Well, we really should be reading them all year now, shouldn't we? But, you know, I love these months that celebrate a certain demographic of our reading plans. So today I'm here to suggest a small stack of books for your Women in Translation Month TBR. Let's get started. Get out that pen, get out that paper, get out that Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please order these books from your local independent bookstore. I think every book I'm going to talk about is actually out, so if you can get it from them, that'd be fantastic, or get your library to get you a copy as soon as possible. Let me get myself a little comfortable here. Today we're going to start with a book that I am super excited about. It has just arrived on my doorstep, and that is All Your Children Scattered by Beata, Umubyeyi, Mairesse, and I hope I'm saying that right. This is out from Europa editions. It is translated from the French by Alison Anderson. You know Alison Anderson can translate. She is freaking fantastic. So this is actually a book told about a story, well, is a story about a part of the world I know historically, but I don't think I have read a lot of fiction about. And this is a story of how the family, 3 generations of our family, were affected by the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Our main character has fled Rwanda. She is currently living in Bordeaux with her husband and her son. And she returns to Rwanda, to her mother's house. And as she's there, sort of old wounds start to reopen, and the sort of the history of everything that happened before she left, and everything that's happened to her mother since she left, sort of come to the forefront. But she brings her son along, and her son has to sort of come to acclimate to this world where he sees images of himself, but he's also very much French. He's from Bordeaux, he's from France, and sort of coming to terms with both of those different aspects of himself, and where does he belong in that whole thing. I think it sounds fantastic. This book won the Ethiophile Prize, the Richelieu Prize, the Francophone 5 Continents Prize, so it has done very, very well. So that's All Your Children Scattered by Beata, Umubyeyi, Mairesse, translated from the French by Alison Anderson, out from Europa editions. You know, I will say that normally I have a ton of Europa editions because they do so much translated work that is fantastic. But I did try to mix it up today. They are in here because you know I love them so much. But I wanted to give all of the publishers I love that do great work in this genre, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, some time. So the next book I want to make sure is on your TBR is Bitter Orange Tree by Jokha Alharthi. This is out from Catapult. This was translated from the Arabic by Marilyn Booth. You know, Marilyn Booth and Jokha won the Man Booker International Prize a few years ago for Celestial Bodies. If you have not read that book, it is also fantastic. But this is her new book, and look at how beautiful that cover is. Okay, so this is the story of a young woman, Omani woman, who has come to a British university, and she is sort of caught between the present and the past. So she's trying to sort of assimilate to British culture, being here at university, but she can't seem to get out of her head the relationships that she left when she came. And one of those is an older woman, a woman she's considered sort of a grandmother figure, and she who passed away right before sort of this whole move to this British university. And we get sort of these two different tales, these two different stories from these two different points of view, the older woman and the new student, as they sort of coalesce. That's okay, I'm going to use that word, as they come together. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of Jokha's. I recommend both of her books to you if you haven't read either of them. I really, really think that they're fantastic, and Marilyn Booth is a fantastic translator. So that's Bitter Orange Tree by Jokha Alharthi. This is out from Catapult, again, translated by Marilyn Booth. Okay, next is a book that I've reviewed on my channel, another Europa, but I adored this book. And that is Fresh Waters for Flowers by Valerie Perrin, again, out from Europa. This is translated from the French by Hildegarde Serle. And this book has a lot that goes on to it, but this is what I want to capture at its heart. This is about a woman who works at a cemetery, taking care of the cemetery. And you find out through the novel how she arrived at this job, doing what she does. She sort of helps people through grief and helps people through the experience of burying a loved one. But we find out that she was previously married. Her husband has been missing, I think, for like 19 years. We find out that she had a young daughter. And we find out that there is a lot that is built up to this moment in time. So I'll say this book starts off sort of like, I don't know, so like a philosophical read. Then it becomes sort of like this thriller mystery. And it sort of has all these layers to it. It is compulsively readable, extremely entertaining, and the main character is, what is her name? Violet. She unforgettable. And this one, I believe, won, this won a prize too, if I'm not mistaken. And I apologize, I can't remember the name of the prize, but I know it won a pretty big, prestigious prize. So that's Fresh Waters for Flowers by Valerie Perrin. This is out from Europa, translated from the French by Hildegarde Serle. Really loved that book so much. Let's go a little Japanese. Let's talk about Mieko Kawakami's new novel, All the Lovers in the Night. This is translated by Sam Bett and David Boyd. I think Sam Bett and David Boyd have translated all of Kawakami's novels for Europa. You know, she was shortlisted for the Man Booker last year for Heaven, which I absolutely loved. Everyone was reading Breasts and Eggs when it was out. And they're all so different. So at the heart of I recommend both of those too, by the way. The heart of this book is about a woman. She is a freelance editor in her 30s. She's very much an independent woman. She lives alone. She really only has one real regular relationship, and it's with her editor, a woman who is very different than she is. But one day she's sort of walking by this window. She sees herself as something she no longer wants to be. So she decides she's going to make some changes in her life, and she takes sort of this drastic turn. And she decides to make all of these changes, be very different. And it says as her behavior sort of gets crazier and crazier, her past starts to come forward and sort of maybe indicate why she has chosen the life that she had chosen before all of these changes. Now, I have not yet read a book by Mieko that hasn't broken my heart, and I think the way that the back of this one reads, it sounds like this will also break our hearts, and I'm super excited about it. I have so much to read, but I do really, really love this woman and all of her novels. So that's Mieko Kawakami, out from Europa, All the Lovers in the Night, translated by Sam Bett and David Boyd. Sorry, Sam, I made you a Samuel, and you're probably not. Out from FSG is The Trouble with Happiness and Other Stories by Tove Ditlevsen. This is translated by Mieko Favala Goldman. You can read any of Tove Ditlevsen's books. You could read the Copenhagen Trilogy, which is her sort of autobiography. You can read The Trouble with Happiness. And she just had another story come out, another book come out, The Faces, which I think is out from Vintage. All of them 100% worth your time. The reason that I'm putting this one up here and just recommending this one is it's a collection of short stories that focuses on men and women in Copenhagen in the 1960s, I think. Early mid-century Copenhagen. And it just talks about sort of their desires, their life, their worlds, and, you know, the decisions we make and all of that kind of stuff. She has a very dense writing style, but it is almost like poetry the way that it reads. And it's just so really, really powerful. And she just can catch a moment amazingly well. So that's The Trouble with Happiness by Tove Ditlevsen. This is out from FSG, translated from, I believe it's the Danish. Yes, it's the Danish. It's late in the afternoon for me. Give me a break. By Mieko, Favala, Goldman. So there you go. And all of her books have this sort of same cover. So they're sort of fun to have on your shelf because they all sort of work together. The next book I want to talk about is The Wonders by Elena Medel, translated from the Spanish by Lizzie Davis and Thomas Bunstead. And this is out from Algonquin Books. This is a tale of two women in Madrid, Spain. One is Maria. She moves to the city in 1969. She has left her family behind. She takes a job. She's trying to figure out ways to support her family. And she's worked as a house cleaner, as a daycare keeper. And she's always been taking care of someone. And then later, in 2018, we have a young woman named Atacha, I'm saying her name right. Oh no, that's not right. Her name is Alicia. It's been a long day, y'all. Sorry about that. Alicia, who is participating in the Women's March of 2018. She's working, she's seeing all these women around her. She doesn't realize Maria's one of them. And how those two stories intertwine, decisions that the women make. Alicia, after the Women's March, looking for something other than the comfort of her husband and looking for something new, and how what Maria had to go through to get to where she is, all of that comes together. So that's The Wonders by Elena Medel. This is out from Algonquin Books, translated from the Spanish by Lizzie Davis and Thomas Bunstead. And this won a major prize too, if I'm not, the Francisco Umbral Prize for Book of the Year in Spain. So there you go. All these books, amazing, amazing award winners. The next book that I'm going to tell you about, I've actually talked about a couple times on my channel, but I'm clearly going to make sure that you all read it. And that's The Missing Words by Concita de Gregorio. And this is translated from the Italian by Clarissa Botsford. Again, this is based on a true story in this book. I always say this book has a beautiful cover, but hides a dark heart. This is the story of a woman. She's married. She has 2 children, 2 young girls. She thinks everything's going fine until one day her husband leaves with the 2 children, settles down, and days later the girls just disappear. No one's talking about them. No one knows where they are. They're just sort of like no longer have existed. And the mother decides, hey, I'm going to investigate that. And this is based on a true story. It's dark, y'all. It's dark, y'all. But everyone I know who has read this book supports the idea that it is worth every page. So that's The Missing Word by Concita de Gregorio, out from Europa, translated from the Italian by Clarissa Botsford. If I'm not mistaken, I am not. Thank you. Last but not least, again, my friends over at Catapult doing some great work with translated fiction. We have Witches by Brenda Lozano, translated from the Spanish by Heather Cleary. This book I have to read exactly what it's about because it's a little bit, it's hard for me to summarize. That's all I'm going to say. So Paloma is dead, but before she was murdered, before she was even Paloma, she was a traditional healer named Gaspar. Before she was murdered, she taught her cousin, Feliciana, the secrets of the ceremonies known as Valeres, and about the language of the book that unlocks their secrets. Zoe, a journalist, is sent to report on Paloma's murder in her mountain village of San Felipe. There she meets Feliciana, and the 2 women's lives twist around each other in a dance macabre. Feliciana tells Zoe the story of her struggle to become an accepted healer in her community, and Zoe begins to understand the hidden history of her own experience as a woman finding her way into a hostile environment shaped by and for men. That's Witches by Brenda Lozano, translated from the Spanish by Heather Cleary. I tried to mix it up a little bit, try to give you some different things, different types of books to read. So I hope that 1 or 2 or all of these books wind up on your TBR, and what a better reason than to read them for Women in Translation Month. As always, if you're a return subscriber, I could not do this without you. Thank you so very, very much. Thanks for putting up for me. Someone said in a comment that I was off kilter in my last video and they enjoyed it. Seems like I'm still there. My brain is going 110 miles an hour today. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate it more than ever. If you hit that subscribe button, click that little bell, all that stuff for fun. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everybody.